you ready? I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Cherry. The chair.
Oh, I like pictured a little cherry. I'm like, where are these cherries at?
Shout out to the big homie Ruben. Shout out to the big homie
I
Ryan.
know, yeah. We're going to have to do a little update video with that specifically.
We're going to do a review. That was fun. A fun show. Okay, shortest straw. So we said that on the 15th we'll be publishing the main stage video.
But everything's been all mixed up.
So we're a day late, we're sorry. But one of our villagers, Peter, made a suggestion that we announce a week in advance a song that we're doing, and then people can send us an email about
what it means to them.
What it means to them.
And so?
Which we thought was really, really cool.
Yeah, you send the email to Vin and Sori.
Stories at vinandsori.com.
Go with what he said.
Stories at vinandsori.com, which goes directly to vinandsori@gmail.com. But if you do stories
But it separates it for us.
Right,
so.
right. So it's a good way to organize, because that's not our strong suit. Okay, so we selected two. We got more than two. If you sent it, thank you so much. Obviously, we can't spend the entire day going over those.
Everybody's emails.
But we selected two, and they were awesome, so we decided to read it. Also, if you send us one, then you're basically saying that we can say your name. Okay? This one's from Charlie. I listened to Metallica for the first time back in '92. I was only 13 years old. My first song, like many of us, was Enter Sandman. I was caught up in the Metallica fever. I saved some money and bought my first CD, which was And Justice for All. Justice for All is a record with Short Straw in it.
Yeah.
My dad was a prog head. He's the one who got me into Pink Floyd when I was 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
And then bands like Yes, Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and King Crimson. We've never heard of them. When I heard And Justice for All, I could
People
definitely...
have asked for Genesis. Because I remember thinking, oh, Genesis. Anyway, carry on.
I could definitely notice a hint of prog rock, later labeled as prog metal, which of course captivated me. The Shortest Straw is possibly the most underrated song out of the And Justice for album. People always focused on Blackened, One, Harvester of Sorrow, Eye of the Beholder, etc. Shortest Straw has one of my favorite Kirk solos, a very powerful riff. Hearing you guys reacting to it means a lot to me, since I can guarantee it'll bring back all the memories to my first time hearing it. I'm from Costa Rica, by the way. What's up? Love seeing your channel. Thanks for all the fun that you give to us. My Patreon profile is Charlie Para, of course.
Why would you read that aloud, babe?
Oh, sorry, buddy. P.S. I know I request this everywhere, YouTube videos, Patreon community, but please react to Black Bible by Heaven and Hell. Ha!
Bible Black.
Cheers, Charlie. Oh, Bible Black by Heaven and Hell. Cheers, Charlie. Okay, thank you very kindly, Charlie. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. And now, on that note, we will be reviewing Shortest Straw, Metallica. Let's do it.
Go. a lot of energy in that one.
Vote for you!
Was it a political song?
Such a headache. Not. Thank you for the
Get a
extra.
migraine before we started this.
Well, yeah, it's on the And Justice for All record.
Yeah.
So I think it's like talking about the various forms of injustice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's political.
Okay. I don't know.
I'm assuming it's about the Red Scare.
What was the Red Scare?
It's like McCarthyism. Everybody's a communist. Remember? It was us and the Russians were the lone.
Gosh.
Us and the Russians were the lone superpowers in the world.
Yep.
And there was a ton of fear about the Russians, and there was this whole fear that the Russians had infiltrated us. And so you had McCarthy, who basically was heading up the task force to clear the country of Russians. And like, so he would brand people traitors and all that shit. That's the story of the Crucible. Did you read that story in school?
No.
The story in The Crucible was about, it's basically set in puritanical time during the Salem witch trials. Mm-hmm. And it was basically a commentary on McCarthyism. But he had to kind of hide it in the Salem witch trials, because if you even questioned McCarthy or anything like that, then that meant that you were a fucking traitor. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
And of course, in any situation, there were actual Russian operatives.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, because everybody in the intelligence community knows that this has been happening for time immemorial. Ever since there have been states, there have been spies on both sides, but not to the degree that McCarthy was saying.
Jeez.
And honestly,
it's a lot of innocent people we're getting.
It was called the Red Scare, and then, you know, historically you look back at it and go, which terrorized us more, the actual Reds or
the fear of being called a Red.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So your entire fucking life could be destroyed. That's why, like, a lot of you know,
and all it had to be was somebody wasn't happy with you. They wanted to ruin you, so then they would just say, hey, he's been
right. Which is why, you know, as a black man in America, the whole, and this is going to be controversial, but surprise, surprise, Vin and Sori are controversial. The whole thing with Kavanaugh was very scary to me.
Oh yeah.
Because that was an angle that a lot of people were not talking about. Because, you know, when it was the whole Believe Women thing, people were not thinking through the ramifications. Everybody was just looking at the ramifications for what would have happened to Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Because people were talking about due process, and they were saying, well, you know, this is not a criminal trial, it's a job interview.
Right.
And so if they would have found against him, it would have just been, he would have gone back to being a circuit judge or whatever.
Yeah.
He just would have got DQ'd for the Supreme Court. Well, that's not historically what's happened to me.
Right. For your people.
That's not what, right. When I say me, I'm talking about my ancestors. I mean, I've never been accused of that. And, you know, and I've held jobs where I've had women alone in my office for whatever, and I've never been accused of that. So of course the corollary is going to be, well, don't, you know, be like Vin and you won't get accused of it. But at the same time, it's like, you know, historically speaking, all you had to do was accuse a black man of doing something to a white woman, and that you were fucked. That's it. You know, I talked about this in the fireside. Emmett Till, the Browns, the Rosewood situation, where all you had to do was say something, and you didn't have any due process or anything. And so it's like, yeah, for Kavanaugh, it's for a powerful, rich white dude, it's just a job interview.
Yeah.
But for us, even if it's just a job interview, that fucking destroys you. Like, forget it. Especially if you're in a small town like where we live.
Right.
That'll completely ruin you. So, like, this whole, like, cavalier, like, yeah, you can accuse people and you don't need due process. Like, I don't know, man. And like I say, like, you know, it's a complex issue because I think a lot of the people that are saying that we need to believe women are concerned about there has been a stigma on women who report this shit. We know it firsthand. I mean, I'm not going to get into the details, but we know it firsthand that there is this, even if the guy admits to doing the thing, it's still extremely difficult for the woman. And you know, I was listening to something on MSNBC where this other woman who had been assaulted by a senator, and it was really crazy because MSNBC is a leftist thingamajig, and she was talking about how this senator was going to be like elected to some whatever, and the FBI came to do background checks, and they had heard that he had assaulted her in a taxi.
Oh yeah, yep.
And
she just happened to have a recording, right?
She said, I'm not telling you guys shit. And they're like, well, it's the FBI, it's going to be, you know, confidential. She's like, fuck you guys, I'm not saying shit. And she didn't say anything to them, and the guy got elected and da-da-da-da. But, and then she said, you know, the news person said, I think it was Rachel Maddow, said, you know, looking back, would you have done it differently? She said, hell no, I wouldn't have done it. She said, look what happened to the Dr. Ford. Like, she can't go back to her house. And she's like, for what? She did it for no reason. And, like, you could tell that wasn't the party line. That's not what she was supposed to say.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to say, hey, she did good, and da-da-da-da. But the woman was like, she was extremely pragmatic and practical. She's like, not what she said she ruined her life for no reason. So my point in saying that is to say, I understand the whole believe women thingamajig. Like, I get it. But I just think, from my perspective as a black man, when I look at my history, I go, in the wrong hands, that type of mentality could really be used to fuck a lot of good people up.
Yep.
And it has been used. I mean, it happened, you know, last week with that woman in the store where she called the cops on the little 9-year-old. And what was the term that she used? What was it? She said he sexually assaulted her.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the issue right there. You know, it's like
the actual footage was brought out.
Well, she knew what the fuck she was doing. People are like, oh, she's crazy. She wasn't crazy. She knew what she was doing. She knew, as a white woman being assaulted by a black person, a black male, she knew that that's a very emotional thing.
The kid was crying on the sidewalk.
Well, and the kid is 13 years old. I forgot, but he was crying because he knew the deal.
Yeah.
He knew the deal. He didn't feel he was going to get due process.
Right.
Little white lady's accusing him of us, you know, you use the term sexual assault. He knew he wasn't going to get due process.
Yeah.
It just so happened that there was a video that had incontrovertible evidence that he was innocent as a driven snow, and that's the only reason that the whole narrative got flipped. And then, you know, she basically apologized, but nothing happened to her. Nothing happened to her. So you could accuse this kid. You almost destroyed this kid's life. And
I'm sure that there's implications on his life from that event.
Well, he's traumatized. That's obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people were trying to tell the kid, like, calm down, you're going to be okay. But he knew the deal.
People have been completely innocent in their cars and been shot in front of their families. It's
right.
It doesn't matter if you're innocent.
Right. So, like, I just feel like we've got to find some sort of middle ground between just automatically believe.
Yeah.
Versus you have to have, like, incontrovertible video evidence that a dude sexually assaulted you.
Right.
And I don't know how to do that, but we got to have that conversation.
I know.
And people always say, oh, don't get political. The song's political.
Right.
It's like, people like, somebody said that religion and politics have no place in music reviews on the Merciful Fate song, which was about the devil. It's like, hello. So I just think that we have to, you know, I'm kind of in the middle where I'm like, I do not trust men in power. We've seen firsthand how dudes have, and how certain blocks of society, even women, will go against women on clear sexual assault, where sometimes like it's obvious. But then on the other hand, I'm like, that shit is getting you, like,
I know.
Now as a black man, like, you gotta have a camera on and everything, and it's kind of interesting because white dudes are like, we got have a camera for everything. Welcome, because we've been dealing with that for quite some time in this country. I mean, those are the facts.
But I feel like
you gotta have incontrovertible proof.
If a white guy has a camera, they're gonna wait to see the friggin' footage on the camera. But with a black guy, it doesn't matter if you have a camera. It
hasn't for a while. It's true. It's true. It hasn't for a while.
We've seen bunches of videos, honey, where the people got killed right on camera. And hindsight, you're like, well, that guy was innocent. But, like...
Yeah.
Nobody was stopping to look at footage. Nobody
Yeah.
was stopping to see the facts.
Yeah, and you know, it's the same thing with that lady where the dude was in the he was in this high class, you know, condo. And the woman was like, "You don't belong here, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Show me your shit." And he's like, "I don't need to show you shit, bitch. Get the fuck out of here." Of course,
He
he
didn't
didn't say
use
it
those words.
He didn't say it like that. He was extremely calm.
Yep.
And he told her about 15 times, "Get out my way, get out my way."
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna go into my building now," and he had to kind of move her along, but he had to have the entire thing on camera, and he had to be completely
Yep.
calm and composed while this woman was completely disrespecting and violating him. He took the keys. She was like, "Who are you going to visit?" Because she couldn't believe that he lived there because it was very expensive, and he had already told her that he lived there.
He's black, obviously.
Oh, I forgot that part. So then he puts the keys into his own door and walks in. Half hour later, the police show up. But see, like, you can do that to somebody and then nothing happens to you on the other side.
Well, she got fired.
Well, she got fired because there was all that social pressure because that shit was
Right.
on camera.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's
Right.
that state of paranoia where
Yeah.
you got to record everything you did because historically in this country, we haven't gotten a fair shake.
Mm-hmm.
And now what's happening with this Kavanaugh situation, I'm sorry to say it, my white friends, but all the white dudes now that are saying, because I'm seeing all these memes pop up, you gotta have a camera for everything. Like that type of paranoia because now they're in the crosshairs. Well, that's the shit that we've been dealing with since
Yeah.
the inception of this country.
Right.
You know, go Google Emmett Till and you will see what he ended up looking like because the shit that happened in that store where that woman said that the kid sexually assaulted her when it was just his backpack is literally the situation that happened with Emmett Till. The difference was Emmett Till.
She didn't even say she got bumped.
Right,
She said she got grabbed.
She said grabbed.
She
and
grabbed and assaulted.
And she used the term sexual assault because she understood what that
Yeah.
meant. And she understood what's happening in our country
Yeah.
with that phrase. And as a woman, like
Yeah.
you're supposed to just believe the woman indiscriminately. So if you look at what happened with, and I brought this up a couple weeks ago in a fireside, and then sure enough it happened. I said, look at Emmett Till. This is not as simple as just believing the woman. Because that's going to get weaponized by some evil motherfuckers. And we got some evil motherfuckers in this country. And it's the same thing with McCarthy. Like, McCarthy wasn't worried about patriotism. He was just worried about power.
Yeah.
And so anytime you have a situation where you can circumvent due process, you are always going to have people that will take that
Yep.
and fuck it up and use it in a tyrannical perspective.
Yeah.
So this same thing happened with Emmett Till. The problem was that Emmett Till didn't have a surveillance camera to clear his name, and there was no trial, there was no nothing. They just took the kid and killed him in the street, you know. And so like people are like, oh, you know, the stats for, you know, full sexual assault or blah blah blah. It's like, I got a 13-year-old boy. I'm not trying to hear that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hear any of that shit. You know, I don't want to live in a country where you can do that.
I know.
And it's you know, the kid was crying, and you know, and he's in New York City. You know, there's a certain level of hardness that you have in New York City even
Right.
at 13. But he knows that he'd fare better with the gangsters than with the with law enforcement. He knows that. Sorry, those are facts. So you know, it's fucking 2018, and we still have, you know, this woman following this dude around in his own condo, and we still have a woman claiming sexual assault against a 13-year-old, 9-year-old kid, however old he was, because they understand the dynamics of being a white woman accusing a black man. They get it. And so,
It's terrible.
so I don't know how we figure it out, like, because of Kavanaugh, but like, that's a strange thing, like, during the whole Kavanaugh situation that nobody talked about. And for me, I'm like, whoa, hey. And all the black dudes that I know have been like, yo, you hearing this shit? Like, that's the end of us. Like, are you insane? But that's just one example of what happens in a society where, you know, if you have this, like, glaring paranoia, and then you're okay with, like, throwing out due process, because that's the same thing that happened. It's the same thing that happened after 9/11 with Muslim people. You know, so we have this, it's called rendition. The program's called rendition, where you don't have to convict the Muslim dude of anything. You can fucking snatch him up and bring him to a black site in, you know, Yemen, and they can fuck with you for years.
Jesus.
There's people that, so, you know, like, it's just this paranoia. So these Muslims did this, right? These Muslims did this thing to us on 9/11. And now we've got this thing, now, you had the Patriot Act got passed and all the rest of it. They can tap in all your shit and all that. This is every American, not just Muslim Americans. Mm-hmm. But then now we've got like the rendition thing where you can go out and snatch people. And it's like, nobody's, and everybody's, well, yeah, the Muslims attacked us. Like, nobody's thinking, like, the program is not written for Muslims. Mm-hmm. Because you that would get shut down immediately. It's combatants or people that, the intelligence community fears are viable. So it's like, in 10 years, let's say Christians, let's say there's some fucking crazy, was it yesterday? It was like the Patriot Prayer Day or something like that, and it got all violent and shit. It's like 2 or 3 days ago. So let's say the Christians get panned as a terrorist group, so they can rendition you. Right. It's like nobody's thinking about this stuff.
Right.
And then there was a whole thing like, if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to worry about. That was the big thing during the McCarthy thing. And it's like, no, that's not the government's role to be all up in my business like that. Like, this is not 1984.
Wow.
But because it was Muslims and everybody was scared to death, we let that happen in America. Because they're 2 to 8% of our population. Mm-hmm. So, fuck them, let it happen. Well, hello. Mm-hmm. You don't see how in the wrong hands that can get weaponized? Like.
Yeah. No, for real.
Like, look. North Korea, I'm pretty sure we just officially ended our war with Korea. So as far as Trump goes, it's like, okay, like he's doing good. But like, do you want Trump to have that type of power to rendition somebody? He doesn't, like, even if you're a Republican, Leah, you want Trump to have that type of power? Huh? So like, it's the times that we're living in is absolutely scary, because it's like you put out these emotional situations and then you label people as either anti-woman or anti-man or whatever, and then people join their tribe and they go along with anything that the person says without thinking of all the implications.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you're an American, that means you hate Muslims. That was the big thing after 9/11, post 9/11. Everybody's going after Muslims. And like, people didn't care about the fucking civil rights of Muslim people. And it's like, nobody stops to think like, yeah, now it's the Muslims. 30, 40 years ago, it was the Reds. Hello. Like, we haven't learned. Like, it's going to happen again in another, who's going to be the next generation? Yeah. Like, nobody's thinking.
Yeah.
And like, but a lot of this has to do with the assumption of like human goodness. Because like, nobody's thinking like for example, all the whole, believe women. This sort of idea that you just indiscriminately believe women and don't ask for any evidence whatsoever. It's like, that's the assumption of human goodness. That assumes that that won't be weaponized by evil actors. But we've already shown very clearly, a month from that. That phrase hasn't been out for less than a month, and it's already being weaponized by evil women.
Yep.
So
yeah,
and it's like, do we, and this whole the rendition program, we just go down the list. It's like, hello, like, let's think through the implications. But that's why the concept of due process, like I said, I understood, because everybody kept saying with the Kavanaugh thing, it was not a criminal investigation. It was a job interview. It's like, yes, but then you have how you get portrayed, you get perceived in the public.
Yeah.
And for a guy who's already in a position of privilege and power, sure, it's minimal.
Right.
But for an average person who's not...
And look at how he was reacting for something that could be minimal, Like, that's a big deal.
Right.
Especially, like, if it was literally going to destroy your life.
Well, and that was the other thing. It's very strange, in the song, lyrically, it says, catch 22.
Yeah, catch 22, he said.
And it really, accusation is really interesting. Because I've been accused of things that were completely false, and I didn't say anything to defend myself, and I was completely calm about it. And people said, well, an innocent person doesn't react that way. But then Kavanaugh loses his mind, and people are like, oh, an innocent person doesn't react that way. He's reacting that way because of his his privilege.
Yeah.
So it's like when you get accused and people believe that you're guilty, it doesn't matter how you fucking react.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because to me, I'm like, well, God knows the truth. You know the truth, so fuck him. I don't care how you feel. But it doesn't matter because people are like, if you already think the person's guilty when you make the accusation, khalas, that's it. So it's a catch-22. There's nothing that you can do or say, and that's why that kid was crying on the street.
Yeah.
That's why he was crying.
Yeah.
Because he knew I'm fucked. He didn't know this
And
was
he knew for sure he didn't do that.
Oh, for sure.
And look at how,
But he, if that shit would have happened 20 years ago, that kid would have been locked up. Guarantee. You can't tell me nothing. I got too many names of dead and imprisoned people.
I was going to say he'd be lucky if he was locked up rather than dead.
Yeah, I got too many names of dead and imprisoned people historically where that's happened. So it's like you can't, when you get accused by that, especially if there's like a cultural paranoia that's happening. You know, it's like as a Muslim person, like they can frame questions in such a way that it's impossible for you to answer. It's like, you know, are you a terrorist? No. Do you believe that Muhammad was the best human being in the world? Yes. Did Muhammad fight unbelievers? Yes, he did. That means you're a terrorist. But there's all this nuance to what that means, but you can phrase a question a certain way, and then there's all this blood in the water anyway. People are like, aha, they knew it. You know, so it's like, it's really crazy. We got to figure this shit out. And are there terrorist cells in this country? Yes. I know for a fact that there are terrorist cells in this country. I do. I get it. You know, I get it. But we got to figure out another way to handle those people, handle that shit. You know, because this shit where we just randomly kidnap people, or like I said before with Anwar al-Awlaki, we just fucking droned the dude. No due process, no nothing. Now he was guilty of sin. Bring the motherfucker in, send a dev crew team in, fucking snatch and grab him and bring him in for extradition and fucking have a trial. That's how it's supposed to go.
Right.
Like, people were all celebrating when that happened. Like, Bin Laden's different.
Yeah.
He wasn't a U.S. citizen.
Right.
This dude's a U.S. citizen.
Right.
We killed him. We killed his son, his 13-year-old son, 2 weeks later. And then last year, we killed his daughter.
No trials.
No trial. Everybody's dead. Like, his whole family's pretty much wiped out. So it's like, you know. And then there was this white lady, and it was during the Obama administration, by the way, if you want to make this all about Republicans. We killed Al-Awlaki, and then we killed his son. And this journalist, during, like 2 weeks after it happened, this journalist said, I think his name was Abu Bakr, I forgot what Al-Awlaki's son's name was. She says, what did he do to deserve that targeted killing? And she kept yelling, and of course they escorted her out. But like, that was during the Obama administration. It's like I said, I don't want Trump having that power, because I'm certain he will abuse it. Obama shouldn't have had that power. He did abuse it. And nobody cares because it's over there, or it's Yemen, or it's a Muslim, or it's a whatever. And it's like, nobody's thinking like, well, what happens if your particular group gets put on the list?
Yeah.
You know, we've got this fucking Antifa versus Proud Boy shit that's going on. Like, your group is coming on the list, believe me. Your group is on the way, believe me. It's like, it's pretty crazy. So, I think it's a very important song. Very timely.
For sure.
Very timely. You can cut and paste this thing in a lot of iterations of our, you know, Down by Law, Live in Infamy. Plus, musically, it was just great.
Oh, yeah, musically it was unbelievable, yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable song. Very timely. You know, I'm pretty sure at this point he was talking about, I'm pretty certain it's about the Red Scare. Right there, channel's red.
Yep.
But, you know, it's looking back to the Red Scare because it was, 1988? So it's like 25 years previous to when that was written. But there's a lot of stuff now, and there's going to be a lot of stuff in the future until we figure this shit out, where this is still applicable.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and we've all got to kind of look at it. And that's why it's like, you know, we have these discussions in the village and we have risky conversations. Like, I know I'm going to piss people off because people are so emotional. They're not thinking through the implications of what I'm saying. and you can disagree, but I think that the way we're in an opportunity right now that the folks during the Red Scare didn't have, and the folks even after 9/11 didn't have, which is we've got the ability to talk to each other and reach each other to the clip of thousands at a time. And so, we've got to have these conversations because, the more and more these conversations happen, that's how the change happens, like a real sustained change. And all that shit that's happening in the media right now is just completely reactionary. And nobody's stopping and thinking, and nobody's coming up with solutions. And I honestly think that we can play a small role in initiating conversations where people have some fucking solutions. Because I don't like anything that I'm seeing right now from any side, either way. Because, anyway. All right. So we're going to read one more thingamajig for Shorter Straw. No, that's not the one that I wanted. Oh, yeah, this is one.
All right.
Well, this is Ryan.
This is Ryan. Hey, Vin and Sori. I hope y'all are doing well and congrats on the pregnancy. Thank you. The Shortest Straw was the first song from the album that I heard and was thinking this is some good shit. I would have started with Blackened, but I accidentally hit shuffle and the intro to Shortest Straw grabbed my attention. The main guitar riff just pulled me in. The lyrics are awesome, though I still have no fucking clue what the song is about. Haha.
Maybe you do now.
I had grown up listening to rock from the 1970s. Back in 2006, when I was a freshman in high school, my oldest brother gave me my very first Metallica CD, And Justice for All. This album was my introduction to heavy metal and would end up helping me define my taste in music. This album and songs still rank among my favorite because of how they helped define me. Another reason why I love this album is because my older brother passed away in 2013. And he loved this album. This is an album that I will listen to, and my neighbors too, LOL, until the day that I die. Take care, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, for that. Sorry about your brother.
We're here for you, buddy. Much love to you, big homie. All right, there you go. That's a little emotional. What do you give the song?
It's probably a 10, honestly. It was really good musically, and then the subject matter is very important, so I think I'm going to go with a 10.
I really, really, really like this song. I first heard this song, I was listening to Michael Savage, and he played it for his intro.
Yeah.
And just the which is a staple metal riff, but then it was like, it's hot riding through, and it felt like I was on a horse. Shortest straw I've been. It's a 10 for me.
Well, there you
It's
have
very
it.
important. This is one of those homeschool songs.
Yep.
This is one of those homeschool songs when you do, McCarthyism and the Red Scare and the concepts of due process and things like that.
Yep.
And you talk about how, explain to the kids art imitating life and the responsibility of the artists to do social commentary. This is one of those songs, and so it's more than just you can open it up in the vault in 20 years. Like,
Oh yeah.
this song is one of those you cannot wait.
Yeah.
Like, you should not wait to hear this song. Like, you got to hear the message of this song because there's a warning for everybody, whether you're whatever political persuasion you are, because all of us have the capacity for this. So I think it's a crazy comment on human nature, and I think it's a crazy comment on America and politics, and it's also challenging us to be what we could be, which is a country that believes in fairness and due process, but also a country that finds a way to fuck up our actual enemies. So we can do that. All right, so it's a 10 for May.
10 for me too.
It's a 10 for Ryan, obviously. Shout out to Ryan's brother up there in the Ain't Self, inshallah. Vin out.
Story out.
Gone.